And now it's time for
Coffee Talk
with Ash C. and
Britt B.
We get to
Spill the tea.
thanks to
EFB.
Thank you, EFB, for allowing us the opportunity to sit around this table and talk about things, whether important or not. Some of it, I feel like some of it's pretty important.
Yeah.
And some of it's fun.
Yeah.
And some of it's a mix of both. So
We're wearing our green today because as we're recording this is St. Patrick's Day.
It is St. Patrick's Day, but you're seeing this the day after St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it's not like we get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and record this.
But hopefully you got to go out, whether you're into green beer or green mini beers, as Kelly had, or corned beef.
I'm excited to get my corned beef and cabbage on later. I'm going to go through that St. Rose's drive-through.
Yeah.
But I noticed that this morning, just like every St. Patrick's Day here in Quincy, the 505 tradition continued with our friends from Cedar Club. And then you also saw some footage yesterday on the Morning Muddy about, it was Jed's. I always want to call it Larry's.
Jed's, yeah.
Because that's the story that this came from.
To some of us, it will always be Larry's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jed's, I know Barney's had a 505.
No, they were at 7.
They were?
Yeah, and I believe the North End, too, was at around 7. Some people know it's like they're going to go to the staples. And I do believe the staples are Jed's and then Cedar Club. Cedar Club does a really good job with, I think they had food this year. Jed's, I think it was just, opening for the shindig.
Cedar Club is really good about having food because I think that they understand the importance of that base. Because if you're starting at 505, I mean, you got to carry on, all those shenanigans throughout the day.
Yeah.
So a little food in your belly never hurts.
Did you know, so the 505 originated due to city ordinances.
I had no clue where it came from. I really just thought that people were breaking the law, just trying to get their green beer into their
bellies.
Patrons. Yeah.
You look up 505 anywhere else, it's not a thing. But here in Quincy it is. I think Quincyans like to think they're Irish by starting to drink a little early
everybody's Irish on St. Pat's Day anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so this one is originated because from the hours of 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. bars have to shut down. They can't serve all the way through without a night license. So it probably started around back when nightclubs were a thing and night licenses were handed out. Far long time ago, the city had, I think they have like 6 of them that they can hand out, and all 6 were to the max. Now I'm pretty sure there's like only 2 nightlife places. Instant Replay's one.
Yes.
Great place. But yeah, so that ordinance brought us the holiday of 505.
So basically the ordinance said that these bars could open up at 505 and serve.
Well, by the ordinance, you can order, or actually you could open up at 501. It's just, I think they gave them the 5 minutes because it sounded cooler.
I don't know, 505. I wonder where that came from. Interesting. Anyway, well, to everyone who went out and enjoyed your green beer or St. Patty's Day fare, hopefully you visited local places and showed some leprechaun love to some pretty cool establishments. I know there were a lot of places who were celebrating, and some who just had traditional staples. So.
I heard leprechauns are the drunk elves of Santa Claus.
Ah, okay. I'll bite. Yeah, I'll bite on it.
I was stretching there.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, are we trying to segue? Because I feel like there are other ordinances that have been talked about recently.
Yes.
Not quite as fun.
No.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So if you were on our site, on the news on Tuesday morning, we always have our Quincy City Council stories in review. Michelle McCormack does a really good job of separating those stories too. So, the reader can consume everything.
Bite size.
Yes.
Yeah, otherwise it seems to be a lot of info.
It is.
Yeah.
So one of the stories that stood out to me was, the first one was the zoning issue. So there's zoning issues in regards to the housing crisis. I'll say housing crisis.
Crisis is a really big word.
But, I guess it is.
Okay.
Especially, they say, rentals in the, I believe it was like $900.
$800 to $900 range.
Yeah. Which I understand that because rent is just exceptionally high, but I'm not sure.
It's egregious. I mean,
is that a calling? If every other rent base is, of a certain level, then what are you getting with 800 or 900?
Well, and I think it all it's like a vicious cycle that I don't know how so you have minimum wage jobs that need these lower, rent. We need the lower rent. I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
If we're not going to have head of household jobs, then we need to have lower rent.
Yeah.
And something's not jiving there. I just don't know that. Do we want to be I don't know. Like, do we want to be the entry level income city, or do we want to hold ourselves to a higher standard? Yes, we have some entry level, some minimum wage, right? And then we do need the rents to meet those needs. But I think we should be shooting for the stars.
Yeah.
That's just my.
The only thing with that is, like we've talked about in the past, I bet you, I don't want to throw a percentage out there, but a lot of people in our community are employed in the service industry, like as servers, cooks, people in the restaurant industry, and that is also what makes our community go round.
Oh, sure. But
So
I
I'm
think
not
like
sure.
they're making, I hope they're making more than minimum wage. But I also know that then there's another caveat that goes into that, because when you're applying for rent, or you're applying for a loan of any type of thing, it only takes into account your documented tips and wages. So it's just, I don't know I don't have an answer. But as far as like the ordinance, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have an answer.
So the ordinance that they're trying to talk about is allowing multifamily homes in areas that are designed for single family residences, zoning issues.
So we're talking about like duplexes, or we're talking about like
duplexes or even more.
Like apartment buildings, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think in the article it mentioned that people kind of equate multifamily homes or multifamily complexes as Section 8, and that's not necessarily the key. I think that's just kind of what history in Quincy has taught us.
Yeah.
That those types of establishments, those types of complexes eventually turn into Section 8, right? And again, I don't think there's much wrong with that. It's just we need to decide as Quincy who we want to be and what we want to, I guess,
drive in here.
Encourage, because that is, if you build it, they will come,
Yeah.
right? And so if it's not going to be Section 8, and again, I know all types of people need Section 8. I'm not dogging on anybody. It's just a matter of what do we want to be our focus. And yes, there should be a mix of all things, but we don't have enough houses like in the $100,000 range either.
Yeah.
So there's a housing crisis on both ends, if you ask me.
I guess my question is, do we lift zoning? Again, I know that some zoning is outdated, because like the article was talking about haberdasheries and this and that. But the premise of most of the zoning, or the baseline, is for real rules, real reasons. Do you want to lift those and allow things, that were not originally intended to be there to meet crisis standards?
Well, and I think, so language should change because it is outdated, but that doesn't mean that the underlying premise of the zoning should change, especially when you have to take into consideration, I mean, I can change any zones I want, we can. That doesn't mean the infrastructure is there to support it. So I think rather than focusing on the zoning, we probably need to look at what can we and should we support as a city, regardless of where it's going. We need to look at all of those factors, then adjust the zoning to meet what we decide as a city should be there and what is possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can say, oh, this area needs to be zoned for multi-family use. But if you build a giant complex, do we have, I mean, is water pressure going to be a function?
I think that was like the big case with the
development of the apartments.
Out on 54th or whatever. It was that, and in a residential neighborhood. So like this, is going to be brought I'm sure that's going to come back to light to be like,
Right.
hey, you remember when we said no?
That's what I want to make sure isn't being drowned out by this distraction of zoning, because zoning is there for, like you said, a reason. But there are more important things than changing language of a zoning Bible, right? Make sure that it can be supported structurally. Make sure that we as a city want it to be supported societally, I guess. And I'm not trying to, again, not trying to sound shitty. I know that sounds privileged and whatever, but we do need to make a decision where we want the city to grow.
Yeah.
And is that the right place? I don't know.
I don't think all growth is great.
Not all growth is good, especially if you can't support it in a very sound way.
I heard, Carol Eamon said, and I agree with these words. If you're not growing, I don't agree with words.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, no, I disagree.
I think it depends on how you're growing. You can grow in a multitude of ways.
Yeah, but what about just being sustainable?
Yeah, we have to be sustainable.
We're the type of people that I feel like our council, the way that, the city works, anytime we come into a tiny bit of money, it's like, let's spend it.
Yeah.
We got to spend it right now. It's not sustainable because everybody wants something shiny and new, and we're going in 20 different directions, but that's a different story,
I mean, but it all goes hand in hand. We need to decide who we want to be. Do we want to grow as a population and attract other populations to come here because we have the resources?
Or are we supposed to be attracting visitors?
Tourism? Because I thought for a long time that's what we were going at. Or, is this, because I know that we've talked about this housing crisis and the studies, and I mean, in my mind, and I'll say it again, if you're looking at your median income, your rent needs to match that. Now, I'm not saying that we need to build multi-use properties for Section 8 because we have a lot of people who don't have homes. I'm saying that our housing should match the income that is in this city.
But then you're also talking about government stepping into the free market and saying...
No, I'm saying all the income that is in this city, not taking into account people on government assistance, okay? That should be taken care of, in my mind, first, right? People who are working here, paying taxes here. You look at what we need to provide to keep them here.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Then people who are on government assistance, we could look at now how do we care for them? That should be a completely different conversation. So the housing crisis, in my mind, should be kind of dissected in a way that we're making sure that we're accomplishing what we want from all directions, but not losing people who are contributing to Quincy and our society, right? And I'm not saying that Section 8 doesn't. I'm just saying that
I know, but
there are different levels that we should probably be, and this makes me sound like a complete asshole.
I disagree because it is, everybody wants Quincy to be what we always thought it was. It was, a safe, affordable place to live. We are a high trust society, and we can't necessarily be those things if we as a people are going to rely entirely on the government.
Yeah. Which is, I think, the ultimate goal of the government is sole, reliance on them, so that creates control. Anyway, that takes me into a whole different direction. But if we're not talking about Section 8 and we're talking about lowering rent for, let's say the service industry, right? Then, okay, well, there's a pretty easy calculation in my mind what percentage of this city is service. Make sure you have housing to meet those needs. But then those developers, when you're building these properties, should have to sign some kind of agreement that they won't go Section 8. And I don't know if there's like a statute on that or because I think that was the big concern for the last one. That it will eventually go Section 8, and I don't know how that happens or anything. But
yeah, I agree too. I know of people that are buying land, in certain parts of town on the cheap, and their plan from the get-go is, I'm going to put this many, houses or whatever in this, even though it's one single spot, like for a single house, I'm going to put however many I can get on there, and I'm going to collect Section 8. housing behind it because that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like if that's your plan going into it, and these are like prominent people that are doing this too. I don't want to like drop names.
Well, I mean, it's a system that's broken. So if it's there, you take advantage of it. But shame on Quincy. I don't want to say shame on Quincy. Maybe we need to have more checks and balances in place for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do think, new development, if it's going that route, needs maybe some kind of system put into place.
Yeah. Because then there has to be accountability as well.
Yeah.
Right. For the safety of and upkeep of and et cetera, et cetera.
What were we talking about in club? It was not in my backyard.
Not in my
NIMBY?
NIMBY. So, and a lot of people say that they're all for these multifamily complexes or establishments or whatever. They just don't want it in their backyard, which again, two things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be, You can want this for our community. You could want everybody to have a nice, safe, warm home. I do. Do I want it in my backyard? Depends on what it is.
Your backyard, what's
so
to be going in your front yard? I'm
so
just kidding.
in my front yard, pretty pert near close, there is storage units that someone, and I'm not sure who, is trying to buy a property on 43rd and Harrison. It's a nice, lovely
single family
home, and they want to build storage units. Again,
like they're taking down the house?
I don't know because there's a lot
We're
of
in
land.
a housing crisis.
There's a lot of land back there, and this is a pretty nice house. Probably you could fit 2 or 3 families in it. But again, we'd have to look at the zoning laws there too. But again, if you drive out there, it's like a very peaceful, long drive. These people bought and built their dreams here, and now are faced with a possible storage facility, which again, it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of like, well, we have these zoning ordinances for a reason. And would they have bought this property there knowing that this ordinance could change and have a storage unit built there? Probably not.
No.
So, and
the
property taxes out there are not cheap, folks, and I'm sure they're just going to keep going up.
I know of a family that just recently built out there, and the reasoning was because this is a residential neighborhood, peace and quiet. This is our, retirement death home.
Death home.
And now it's like directly across from the subdivision, which the subdivision is Breckenridge, is where this proposed storage unit thing is supposed to go. And let's be real, they're not pretty.
They're not pretty, and there's so much land elsewhere. Why do you got to plop it in the middle of all these beautiful homes?
Why wouldn't that land be used to break, I guess, parcel up, especially, I don't know, why wouldn't that land be used to make a whole nother neighborhood
like
around there?
Or something.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if the neighbors would be happy with that either, because what they have is what they want.
Condos, nice $100,000 range condos.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because then it's a multi-family. I mean, what they moved into is the zoning they want to keep.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I also, again, don't think there's anything wrong with somebody building a storage unit. I think both things can be true at the same time. I just don't want it there.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't want it there. So go have your voice heard. There is a planning development meeting on, I believe it's Tuesday, March 24th. The meeting starts at 7. Be there a little early to make sure that you can speak.
Mike Scholl rule.
Yep. Make sure that you are signed up if that's necessary. I'm not 100% sure, but look into that. But the planned development meeting for the storage units that are proposed.
At City Hall?
Yeah, at City Hall, proposed to be built on 43rd and Harrison. If you are against it, go have your voice heard. Tuesday, March 24th, 7 p.m., get there a little early. And
every single one of the people in your neighborhood that are against it should be there. Like
they will.
I've
been getting text messages and knocks on my door about this thing since that little sign went up, which, as I hear, is the only notice we're required to receive is that little sign in the front yard of this home. So, again,
that too, you're driving, distracted driving,
Well, it's a pretty little font.
So
I
what
don't
am I
even know if I can
supposed to
see
do?
it
Pull
standing
over
still.
and I think every single person in the neighborhood, that is against this should be there. Keep the planning and commission people there till midnight.
Yeah, I mean, just go and have your voices heard. Obviously, there's a church there, there's a school there. Increased traffic is not a good thing with the kiddos and, churchgoers. And I think, yeah, just to sum it up, the way it's zoned is the way it should be zoned. And there are plenty of other places for a storage facility to go. Yeah. So go have your voices heard. It's always something.
Yeah.
It's always something. Quincy is a great place, but we do deserve to, we pay taxes. We make this city go round and round, so we need to go have our voices heard and, try to get things the way we want them, right?
Yep.
In the way that I like things, so we always talk about good news.
Yes.
I like to top things off with good news because it seems like we're always faced with some kind of controversy. Stir the pot, which I also enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah, stirring the tea, spilling the tea, but Good News Brews is a way for us to kind of cap it off with something nice, something feel good. And this week, although, again, there's no shortage of things happening in Quincy that are great, I need to shout out Lost and Found Pets of Adams County. It's a Facebook group that I'm a part of, that I try to keep my eyes out for lost pets on there. They post lost and found pets, obviously, but they're connecting these pet owners with their pets that have been gone for months and more. It's pretty incredible. And they do it, I'm sure maybe they get a little monetization from the amount of followers they have, but it's not much. So it's basically just out of the goodness of their hearts to get these pets back to their owners and make sure these pets don't go cold or hungry. So thank you, Lost and Found Pets of Adams County. I know it's not easy, but
I think, they're a great service. Right now, our animal control is always swamped. Mm-hmm. I know that anytime I've made a phone call, it's like,
Yep.
So, honestly, they're like sometimes the first responders is the page. And everything on Facebook is easy to spread like wildfire.
Sure.
It's good to use it for good.
Yeah, and it is being used for good by Lost and Found Pets of Adams County. So thank you so much. Yeah. That is our Good News Brews, and I think that does it for today's
Coffee Talk.
Thanks, EFB. We'll catch you next time.